Lack of unity, a lack of care, a lack of love, lack of all of that. It's a shame. And so much to be careful of, because tonight, Ishmael, I'm reminding Jamaica because the news was there. But Westmorland must be careful of the water that they're purchasing. Look at this tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Westmorland residents urged to be vigilant when purchasing water. And I want to send this message out because I don't see this getting much coverage. So I had to include it tonight because water is life and water is scarce. Clean water is scarce. And we are now hearing that there is a concern about the water that is being purchased. Ladies and gentlemen, please, 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 let us try our best to get this word out. Let us be vigilant. But I want to know, what role is the government playing in all of this? The people are desperate. They are going to try and get any help, any type of water that they get access to. They're going to try and get it, because so far what persons are saying on the ground is that many persons have not seen the government in any real way. And later on, you'll hear something different from some other persons. But we've been hearing water concerns for some time. Remember, Ian, Mr. Bell from St. Anne was talking about how the mayor allowed a dirty tank to stay dirty for a year. So till frogs were breeding up in the tank and the water was contaminated to this date. And I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, the priorities of this government it's off. I'm going to be very frank tonight. Very frank. But there is and where's the Minister of Water? Where is the Minister of Water to address these concepts? Because the people need water, clean water. They need clean water. They need a trusted source to get clean water. Why is it that we've not seen the government leading in certain aspects? A lot of PR, a lot of fluff, a lot of highfalutin talks said in such a way so that it can fly over the people's head. But we're not prettying up anything. We're not trying to look good. We want to get to the bottom of this thing. Why is it that the residents in Westmorland don't have access to a trusted source for water, when in a time like this, you must have clean water? Remember that PDTV started a drive, and I believe it must be the inspiration of God that has led this team to start a water drive, and I hope Mr. Stevens continues it, because everything is coming to the fore now. Residents are being urged to be vigilant when purchasing water. That means the government must have some mechanism in place to provide the people with the water that they can trust, water that they can drink. But if the government is not doing that, what will the people do? So now we must continue this water drive, because people in Westmorland are being cautioned when purchasing water. This country is at a crossroads. I'm going to try my best and reason with the people tonight. This country is at a crossroads, and I see where the priorities are messed up. I didn't want to get to Daryl Vaz, but I'm just going to touch on it for a brief moment. He is adamant that we must get electricity up and running. But people don't have access to a trusted source for water. What is the government doing to ensure that the people in Westmorland have access to clean water so that they can drink, bathe, cook if needs be. That is if them even have access to things can cook. To keep their surroundings clean. All of those things. Where is the Minister of Water to address this very serious concern? I am saying tonight that Jamaica is at a crossroads. There is a lack of effective leadership in this country in a time like this. We see him all over the place. Everything is being done as we go along. No proactive measure. Nothing. So I'm saying tonight, ladies and gentlemen, if we are not careful, people are going to buy water from God he knows where. God forbid a million times with a leptospirosis outbreak. You're hearing this type of news. You have to be concerned. You have to be concerned. And let me touch on the leptospirosis now. Because the death toll gone up. The death toll gone up, ladies and gentlemen. There are more cases now regarding the leptospirosis. We have to take these things very seriously. So while some of these politicians are in parliament, even yesterday, acting as if they are doing the people of Jamaica a favor, leptospirosis cases are increasing. More people are dying. More people are dying. More people are perishing before our very eyes. No clean water. No clean environment. Them just start clean up the place. Just start a month after Hurricane Melissa. And we've just started to do mass cleanings. So while the government is being proactive, while they find it imperative to play politics and to shout at the opposition and to try and score political points apparently, and while they try to throw jabs at the opposition leader and get personal about the people's business because it's not about them, it's about the people of the country, more leptospirosis cases and more deaths. And I'm saying tonight, ladies and gentlemen, how can I, as a young man, have any faith in this government when all of this could have been avoided if proper planning were put in place? You see, the conversations are being recycled. The conversations there, it's coming right back to a central thought. And they are going to dislike the opposition even more. They are going to dislike advocates even more because the conversations must be had. And the thought is the same. This government is proactive. In their minds, they are proactive. In their dreams, they are proactive in another life, on another planet. But they are not proactive when it comes to the people's business in this country. They are reactive and they don't like to hear it. I know they don't like to hear it. They get red in the face when they hear conversations like these. But there is no proof for us to believe anything else. When Dr. Dawes raised the issue, I'm going to say it again. And I can make a promise to Jamaica if the Lord should tarry a little longer and our lives are spared, I will be the first one to remind Jamaica of these conversations and concerns that were raised long before the outbreak. Because when Dr. Dawes brought up the concern, urging the government to act, they said he was campaigning. They said he was playing politics. They said he was fear-mongering the people. They said that the opposition were being unreasonable and trying to cause the people to go into some form of panic. That's not what the people were doing. Experts in the field confirmed that after a natural disaster like that, with so much rainfall, you must expect the possibilities of outbreaks like these. And it took Leptospirosis outbreak to get this government moving to even considering cleaning up the place. It took people to, it had to take deaths. It had to take people dying before this government decided to move. Are you understanding what I'm saying tonight? So do we wait until people die before we act? Is it that this government loves the idea of I don't know. Why we have to wait until people die before we act to prevent these things from happening? As soon as the hurricane happened, as soon as the dust settled for a bit, I understand, yes, the hurricane just done. All right, everybody's in shock. But 1 day, 2 day, 3 day after, no effort to try and clean up the place. With all the settled water, no plan was put in place. So again, we see a reactive government. And again, we see because of the negligence and incompetence, more people had to die, and now more people are dying. The JLP can't create leptospirosis. I'm not even blaming them for the disease. I'm blaming them for the lack of urgency that was required from the genesis of this thing. I am blaming them for the lack of preparation. I am blaming them for the politicking. I am blaming them for the condescending attitude and the arrogance when people are raising genuine concerns. That's what I blame them for. So now more people have to die because this government, they were never prepared. They failed to prepare. They can find money to do other things, you know. They can find billions of dollars to do everything else. But no money to quickly address these critical issues, cleaning up the place, getting the people out of the nasty, dirty, infested waters, getting a water drive. I've been asking for it. Where is the water initiative from the government? You must have a major rollout of water initiative, not just care packages like when Malahoo Fort make and give the people. We're talking about a proper water initiative where your aim for the next 2 weeks, government, is to just give clean water to the western part of the island. Water. Nothing of the sort. But when you speak like this, apparently we're the ones playing politics. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Before I touch Ian Hales, look at Chigwell. Chigwell, I forgot to a rafting mechanism now. In Hanover, Chigwell, the community in Chigwell, that the MP from Eastern Hanover said that was one of the communities that were marooned. And now we see why. Because waters are stretching for 2 miles, Ishmael. Do you have the video or the picture? Look at what is happening in Chigwell. People have to be on raft to get from point A to point B. They're marooned. And we already know the concerns about the leptospirosis and the potential for other diseases. I got the producer's notification that we're getting that in a bit. So I'm saying tonight, ladies and gentlemen, do we have to wait until people die and suffer in this country before the government move? Should we have to allow people to die first before we see the necessity in acting and acting quickly and acting now? You know what has happened? The government is comfortable. They are comfortable. Tell you why they are comfortable. They are comfortable because they realize that they have deceived a great lot of people in this country. They have deceived a portion of this nation. Thank the Lord for those who are still standing firm. They're looking through the propaganda. They're looking through the fluff and the PR, and they see the incompetence. But the sad reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that this government has successfully deceived a portion of the people of this nation. So, because they have deceived them, and because it's almost as if witchcraft is at play here, it's as if some of these labor rights are under spells. They cannot see beyond the green. When I look at how some of them defend this incompetent government, even when it is clear as day, there must be some dark spiritual wickedness behind the blindness that is upon some of these people who say they support the Jamaica Labour Party. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, Lord, forgive me. You know my heart. But where I'm at right now, that must be the only explanation as to how sensible people can look at this government and tell me that this was a world-leading response. A world-leading response when for weeks we've been asking you to put proper measures in place to prevent an outbreak. Fine. We know that probably one and two cases may have happened. We're not unreasonable people. We're not asking you to move heaven and earth. But we didn't have to see an outbreak, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have to see an outbreak. Because if proper measures were put in place and the people were taken out of the muck and the nasty environment, if they pumped out the nasty water that were flooding in on the people, remember when Mr. Stevens and the team went to, I believe it was Hanover, and they saw the people in the houses, the water that surrounded the houses, nothing to pump out the water. And if PDTV news could have reached there, you could have got there too. You could have been there as well. So why the council in Hanover could say that she never seen no representatives from the government? So why everybody else can reach on the ground and see what is happening and you couldn't get there? But remember, the lady said, if it was election time, ladies and gentlemen, they would have swam in the nasty, infested waters to get your votes. They would have swum beside the carcasses. They would have walked with the rats. They would have risked their lives for the votes. Remember that they called the election in the pandemic. They were willing to do every and anything to get your vote, but they cannot do the same passion, the same vigor, the same energy that they had. Where is it now? This government is too comfortable. This government is too comfortable. This government is too comfortable. And because they are comfortable, they can give us any old wishy-washy leadership and they want us to believe a lie. Health Ministry calls on Jamaicans in the US to assist with providing ambulances following the hurricane. The Jamaican Diaspora in the United States is being called on to assist with providing ambulances, mobile clinics, and vector control units as part of the Hurricane Melissa response efforts. The appeal came from Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton while addressing the virtual town hall. Now I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you to be biased with me tonight. Don't be biased with me. I'm going to ask a question and I want you to give me a honest answer. If I am wrong, say, Perry, you're wrong. When you see something like this, knowing that we were going to get a category 5, when all the Fox News, CNN, everybody, all over the world, they flew into the country to witness this phenomenon on their own. You're telling me that as a health minister, as a minister who is a part of an administration that boasts about managing disaster and taking Jamaica through disasters and all of that, you're telling me that you are just calling upon the diaspora to help you with mobile clinics, ambulances? Ladies and gentlemen, this government is not ready. You're making that call now? So when you heard of this Melissa coming and what was expected, remember that even some of the journalists and the people were saying Jamaica should evacuate the country. That's how serious these people were taking it. They were literally saying, remember good in Jamaica, remember good PDTV. People were saying, Jamaicans, I'd advise you to leave the country. This is unprecedented. And they were literally telling us to get up out of the country and leave because of the destruction that was going to come. And you're telling me that as a proactive leader, that many of you claim to be proactive, I beg you to look up the word. Look at the word line upon line, precept upon precept, and ask yourself the question if you're really proactive. And you're telling me that it never dawned on you to try and put at least some of these things in place prior to the hurricane, so that after the hurricane, you would have probably have one, two, or three ambulance or 1, 2 mobile clinic. You're asking that now? You were very quick to give out whole heap of contracts. You were very quick to give out whole heap of contracts, Dr. Tufton, to market me. You were very quick with that. How you never quick with the ambulance them and the clinic them? If